And I suppose there are people who also are fully cognizant, based on whatever their own journey may have been, and their own web of relationships, which in this day and age more than likely extend well beyond the Jewish community, that the people with whom they're dealing, either in the pastoral setting or as a spiritual leader, with people that they're dealing with people who also are choosing and making choices, and may bring with them a diverse set of experiences and assumptions about Judaism.
That's right. That's the exciting part about being a Jewish leader today. So if we're training educators, and JTS trains educators from all denominations, not just conservative, if you walk into a classroom that whatever the age of your students, whether they're little kids, whether they're teenagers, whether they're adults, they are bringing together a huge variety of experiences from their own life. They're on a journey. Every single one of them is on a journey. And they want to be whole in that journey, W-H-O-L-E. Mm-hmm. They want a kind of shlemut, we call it in Hebrew. And your job is to reach out to them and take them from where they are to the next step on that journey. And you do it by having confidence that we Jews have been on a lot of journeys for the past 3,000 years, and this tradition has guided us really well for 30 centuries. It's not going to stop now. And if we just open up this tradition to them and enable them to appropriate it for themselves, to make it their own, good things are going to happen. So we're guided by Torah on this journey. That makes Jewish education a little different than it has been in the past, because in the past you might have wanted to carry on a status quo. We have no such luxury today. There's no status quo that's going to let us carry it on. Right? Things are changing much too rapidly. And so what we're doing is equipping people with the confidence to carry on and also change.
Professor Eisen, could you speak just a little bit about the D word, because you mentioned the word denomination, and I'm curious, about your view of denominationalism. The conservative movement has a reputation as a movement that is, rigorous about learning, that people who identify as conservative Jews very often, see themselves as being learned and effectively are engaged in learning. But as a brand, just like so many other brands within religious movements, there are challenges. And I'm just curious if you feel in some ways limited by being branded, if you will, as a conservative institution, or what opportunities, conversely, it might present. And just generally what you do with those, I won't call them barriers because I don't think they are, but a skin which is permeable in some way around what we call conservative Judaism. How do you deal with that denominational issue in your work?
Well, as you know, JTS founded conservative Judaism in the United States. Really, it was nascent, it was emergent, and it was only Solomon Schechter and Schechter's leadership and the leadership of JTS that formed the various organizations that we know of as conservative Judaism. The United Synagogue, which is the organization of congregations, the Rabbinical Assembly, the Cantors Institute, et cetera, et cetera. All of these were founded one by JTS. But the paradox is that JTS was always here to be an institution, as our name implies, the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. We're here for America. We're not just here for one denomination. And so all along, we've had a vision of Judaism which conforms most closely to that of conservative Judaism, but whereas we ordain rabbis and invest cantors for the conservative movement, we have a non-denominational educational school, the Davidson School of Jewish Education. We have a non-denominational undergraduate school, this college, and we certainly have a non-denominational graduate school, which includes many non-Jews. So JTS is trying to provide a vision which fits most snugly with conservative Judaism, but which, because of its commitments, is broader than any one denomination. And I'm happy to say that on any given day, Jews of all sorts are walking through the doors of JTS, perhaps to visit our library, which is among the greatest in the world, in the Jewish world, or to take classes. So it's not just conservative Judaism, but it's a vision that accords most closely with conservative Judaism. Now, denominations, like everything else, are in flux. This is just a fact that's probably going to be with us for some time to come. And of course, it's not just involving Jews. It's true of Christians. It's true of every religious group we know. It's true of ethnic groups. People don't join as much as they used to, and they are what the sociologist Robert Wuthnow calls switchers. People join and then leave and join something else and switch to something else, and then may come back to the first. So the notion of denomination as a path in Judaism, which you're born in, educated in, raised in, marry in, live in, die in, this is not something that's going to hold true for our generation. Everything's up for grabs. And you know, in part, that's a really healthy thing, because we're not here to be one kind of Jew. We're here to be Jews. We're here to be Jewish human beings. We're here to draw on this tradition and give something to the world. But we have particular commitments. And so I believe that as long as Jews differ on the way we're going to live Torah, on the way we're going to live under the covenant, there are going to have to be some groupings. And those groupings are going to be called denominations, because it doesn't make sense for one, as it were, school, one Schechter school in Chicago, to take a particular path in raising up another generation of kids and not be related to a school with similar commitments in New York or Los Angeles. So, let's have a union. Let's have a cooperative agreement between the Schechter schools in New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago, and immediately have something resembling a movement. The same thing for congregations, the same thing for camps. So I'm a Jew. I'm proud to be a Jewish human being. I feel a kinship with Jews, whatever they are. I'm not here to put down any kind of Jew. I don't think any of us should be raising up our particular kind of Judaism at the expense of other kinds of Judaism and other Jews. That, I hope, we will firmly leave behind us. It's something we could say good riddance to as soon as possible. But that said, I have certain commitments. I want a davening that's in Hebrew. I want to go to a shul where the prayers are more or less those that Jews have been saying for 2,000 years. I'm committed to egalitarianism. I want my daughter to have the same Jewish education as my son. I'm committed to carrying on tradition, but I'm also committed to having that tradition totally relevant to the present day world. I want Jews out there in that world in every field of activity, bringing Judaism and Jewish commitments to whatever they do, and I want that world reflected in all we are. So I want synagogues and schools and camps that reflect that. And so if the conservative movement were to disappear tomorrow, I'd be one of those people working to rebuild it, because conservative Judaism to me stands for a certain approach to Torah, the Jewish life, which I hold dear. It's everything to me.
It's a worldview, a perspective, a set of a construct of ideas and commitments.
A way of living and a way of learning.
Yeah. And what's the dynamic that you see at work within the institution in terms of assuring the ongoing relevance of those ideas and those commitments to an emerging new reality? Is that a source of much tension, excitement? How would you describe it?
All of the above. Look, I made this decision to be chancellor of JTS because a very wise man on the board of trustees, Gershon Katz, the chairman of the board and the chairman of the selection committee, said, you've been a scholar for 30 years, you've been giving advice to the community for 30 years, we don't need kibitzers, we need leaders. That got me. We don't need kibitzers, we need leaders. In other words, here's a chance to take your vision of Judaism, your belief about what Judaism should be, and put it into practice in one of the most important Jewish institutions America has ever had, which I believe will still continue to be a central institution in American Jewish life for many years to come, because, and here's the thing, because JTS is committed to taking learning about the Jewish past, our history, our texts, our practices, and bringing them to bear right now, for the benefit of this community and for the benefit of this tradition. So you have Jewish studies in lots of places, there's Jewish learning in lots of places, but what we're committed to do is take top flight, top quality, cutting edge Jewish learning, the largest faculty of Jewish studies anywhere in North America, and bringing that excellent scholarship to bear directly on schools, on camps, on federations, on synagogues for the benefit of the community. So this is an exciting vision of JTS. It's exciting to me. It's exciting to our faculty and to our student body and to our supporters, because it means that this institution, which was set up to make a difference in American Jewish life is rededicating itself and reorganizing itself to do that even better than it has in the past. And, you know, change is always difficult. Change is always wrenching. I've had faculty who say to me, but I've been teaching this course the same way for 40 years. Do you mean I have to teach it differently now? And the answer is, well, yeah, no matter how well you've been teaching it for 40 years, we need new kinds of leaders for the difficult challenges of the present. We have new information, we have new technology, we've got a different world. And so it's going to take different kinds of courses. And so you find JTS retooling itself, reorganizing itself, making better use of its resources to make a better impact on the world.